Lisa Salters from the Worldwide Leader in Sports joins us right now, my old friend Lisa. Hey, thanks for calling in this morning from Denver.
Best mom ever?
Yeah, I have a best mom ever sign on the desk because when Rich does the show, it says best dad ever, and I always swap it out because priorities. But I can qualify you. How's your Mother's Day, Lisa?
It was good. I spent it with the Celtics and the Sixers. So I didn't get a chance to spend it with my own child, but
so you got to spend it with a bunch of children on the court, then.
Right, exactly.
Well, good, because we can talk about the
Sixers who played like children.
Yeah, and have been acting as such. Exactly. At least we'll talk about the East in a second. But what was it like in the field, in the arena last night at that game? Because I was saying earlier to start the show, I went to put the kids down, and I thought the game was over. I came back and I said, "Oh, we got a game here." What was it like in the room where it happened?
Yeah, well, everything kind of changed in the third quarter, and yet I still kind of had the sense that the Nuggets were in control. But like you said, things just kind of took a turn, and the Lakers figured some things out. But the building itself was, I know it's cliche, but the building was really electric. It was on fire. These Denver fans, I'm sure they're tired of being overlooked, and they're not overlooked now because that place was rocking. We left the building, like when me, myself, Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, Jeff Hancock, when we got in the car, headed back to the hotel, they were like, "Oh my God, I can't wait until Thursday. Can't wait until game 2." Because if it's anything like, game 1 was, the series is sure to be just on fire.
Back here on the Rich Eisen Show with Lisa Salters from the Worldwide Leader of Sports, my old friend of about 25 years. Tell me about that game, though, last night and what you saw from Jokic. You've seen everybody play, Lisa. What's it like covering him, watching him just set up shop?
It's funny, though, Suzy. Like, I have never seen him play before. I haven't done a game here in Denver, and I was trying to figure out when. It's been at least 10 years. Maybe I had a game of theirs in the bubble. I think maybe I did. But this is really the first time I've had a chance to watch him play. And I got to admit, I have been sleeping on this guy. He is spectacular. He is ridiculously good and just unstoppable. Just watching him play last night, I was texting people saying, "You know what? This guy is really good." And they're like, "We've been trying to tell you that." And I admit, I hadn't really been paying much attention. I haven't had any games with Denver, either on the road or with them here at home. So I hadn't really paid much attention to him. Of course, I knew all of the, I know all of the great things that people say about him. I know his stat lines, I know his numbers, so that I knew he was a great player. But until you see it in person, dude is phenomenal, Suzy. He's a beast. He really is. He's got such a quiet way about him. He really doesn't want any of the fanfare. He's almost seemingly embarrassed by it, and just would rather do without it. He just wants to go to work. And to think about who he was 8 years ago, that chubby kid, second-round draft pick, he's phenomenal.
And here on the Roku channel, we're looking at a still of Anthony Davis with Jokic, and it's just like, there's something about him. It's his agility. It's his grace. It's the way he attacks the basket. And obviously, AD had a great night last night. But you have to wonder if the Lakers made it clear that this won't be easy. At least they did in the fourth quarter. But you have to wonder about what the adjustments will be between game 1 and game 2.
Yeah, I think the Lakers kind of, they switched off AD. They switched him off of Jokic late in the game and had Rui on him, and that seemed to be successful. And so the question I have is, will Rui be starting now? Are you going to insert him in the starting lineup, take D'Angelo Russell out? D'Angelo didn't have a great game last night, but he's still a huge part of what they do. And what are the numbers that they're, 7-0 when he scores 16 points or more or something like that? He didn't get that last night. But you're thinking, all we got to do is kind of get him going, and perhaps we'd have better success. but you can't deny what you saw, and that was when AD was switched off of Joker and ended up playing. I think it was he was on Aaron Gordon, and having Rui play Joker. Then they just had, things started to flow for them. So I would be surprised if they didn't go with that to start the game in Game 2.
ESPN's Lisa Salters joins us here on the Rich Eisen Show. Lisa, how for real do you believe the Denver climate is, adjusting to the altitude, et cetera?
I'm not an elite athlete, so that is hard to say. But I know just as an old lady who tries to work out every day that I had forgotten about the altitude. And yesterday morning when I got up and I did my workout, it was fine. Did the workout and it was fine. I was huffing and puffing, but that's normal. It was only after when I walked to breakfast and was walking back from breakfast that I thought, my God, I'm having a hard time catching my breath. Like, did that workout really tax me that much? Am I really I just talked it up to like, wow, I'm really getting old. It's taking me a long time to recover even from that workout. And then I got back to my room and I started kind of studying more for the game. And I started reading about the altitude and the players talking about the altitude. And I thought, oh, that's right. We're in Denver. Okay, so maybe I'm not as old and out of shape as I thought. Maybe the altitude does have something to do with it. So, whether or not it's affecting the Lakers, I do know this, that it takes weeks for an athlete's body to adjust to being at altitude. And to not have the symptoms. So them just being here, the Lakers just being here for a few days, there's really not a whole lot that they can do to lessen the effects. There are some things, but not a whole lot of things. So without being here for at least a couple of weeks, your body is just not going to, they're not going to be as used to it as the Nuggets are. But, we asked, Joker the same question. Hey, do you think the altitude has an effect on opposing players? And, he was pretty funny. He was like, I don't know, but we'd like to think it's us and not the altitude. And it's hard to argue that. Like at the beginning of the game yesterday, I was thinking, how much of this is just, the Lakers kind of finding their legs? Because they were not getting back in transition, right? they looked kind of sluggish in that first half yesterday. But then how much of it was the Nuggets and them just being a really good team? I think Game 2, not that the altitude won't still be a factor for the Lakers, but, I'd be interested to see how the Lakers start the game in Game 2.
Yeah, Lisa, and that's the thing is that we basically have the outline of how the Lakers can beat the Nuggets. We have the outline. It's just a question of actually putting it into play because it goes the other way, too. I mean, the Nuggets just saw exactly how they can take care of business, and then that'll be what makes it so much more interesting for this game too, because it looked like a blowout and then all of a sudden it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this game and this series more exciting.
Yeah, didn't you kind of think that when you put your kids to bed, didn't you think that the Lakers are kind of done. They're going to let go of the rope and wait for Game 2. That's kind of how it looked like it was going when it got up to 21 points. I thought this is going to be one of those games where they're just going to be like, you know what, let's just start over, Game 2. But, to see that fight and to see them come back, I think they left that game thinking, you know what, we can, we can do this. And I would be surprised if Game 2, if they were to start as slowly as they did in Game 1.
So do you think the Nuggets took their foot off the gas? What do you think?
That would be human nature. They were up 21 points. But I remember my interview at the end of the third quarter with Mike Malone, and they were still up 14 at that point, but they were up 14 because of that, buzzer beater that Nikola hit at the end of the third quarter. And Mike Malone, he was not happy. He was like, they shot 75% in that quarter. Like, that's not going to cut it. So he kind of saw where the game was trending, and he wanted to nip that in the bud, and he was right. It continued going that way, with the Lakers kind of being able to looking like they had figured things out. So, did they take their foot off the gas? Maybe in the third quarter, but I think in the fourth quarter, they certainly knew that they had a ball game, and it was a back and forth game down to the end. And I think the Lakers came away from that game thinking, confident, thinking that we figured some things out. And that first game I was saying to Jokic after the game, that the game, game number one of a series is always kind of teams feeling each other out. And I feel like that was the case for both of them. But I think the Lakers, even though they got the loss, I think they came away feeling pretty confident and pretty positive that they had figured some things out.
That's exactly what I saw too. That's exactly what I saw in those post-game interviews. That was not a team with their head down. That was their team like, I think I saw something there that I can manipulate for game two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they'll get blown out in game two. But it just seemed like things started to click, like the light bulb went on for the Lakers. And, I think the first half of game number two is going to be really interesting to see if that carries over.
Yeah, it's like the old Monty Python, we're not dead yet. I mean, you think that they had to see something. LeBron's not going to give up either. I mean, we were talking about it to start the show, Lisa, that all the LeBron haters are like, LeBron lost the game. He missed a free throw. He missed a three. He turned it over. And people love to get all excited, like, the headlines like, is LeBron James done? It's like, I don't think so.
Okay, right. Haven't they learned in 20 years not to count out LeBron James? That just seems ridiculous, but oh well.
What do you see in the East, Lise? Who do you think, who's going to come out on top there?
I mean, I'd have to go with the Celtics, just because of, I don't know. It's just the Celtics, and I haven't seen Miami play at all this season other than on television. Jimmy Butler is playing great, out of his mind right now, but other than Jimmy, I don't see a whole lot there that I would be afraid of if I were the Celtics. And when I look at the Celtics roster, I see lots of guys who can beat you. Of course, Jason Tatum. But even if he's not hot, like Jason Tatum, like against the Sixers, remember game 5 where he was, or game 6 where he was awful through 3 quarters, and he's still in the ball game because they've got Jaylen Brown. So for, I just have to say for depth-wise, I would go with the Celtics, just because other than Jimmy Butler, I don't know where you go after that. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Butler can't be the guy to take you through 7 games. He absolutely can. But I would say, if I were a betting person, and I am not, I'd put my money on the Celtics.
Lisa Salters from ESPN. Lisa, have you even looked at the Monday Night Football schedule yet, or do you just have to get through NBA and then you can start looking at that?
No, I have. I've glanced at it. I haven't studied it a whole lot, but I have looked at it, of course, because as soon as it comes out, I want to know where am I going to be, and especially where am I going to be in December. That's really what I look at. Where am I going to be in December? So yeah, I've looked at it, and the start, like I thought that was phenomenal to start with Aaron Rodgers in New York against the Bills. The Bills against anybody would have been great, but up against Aaron Rodgers, his debut in a Jets uniform, that's just going to be fantastic.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers on September 11th, as if it won't be charged enough. That'll be quite a game. You're spending Christmas in San Francisco, Lisa. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Plan now. Plan for a little something with Sam.
And that's another thing that you look at. You look at the holidays, Thanksgiving. Okay, where am I going to go right after Thanksgiving? Is that going to be an easy trip? And then Christmas, am I going to be able to be with my family at all? Can I have my family come to me? And the answer is no. So that won't be happening. But I'm curious to find out if I will be doing an NBA game. Had it been the Warriors, had the Warriors won the championship again this year, they would have hosted a Christmas Day game, and they probably would have had me doing both. Christmas Day game, the NBA game, and the football game. But I don't know how that might work this year. I mean, the Warriors might still be hosting a game.
By the way, they might.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Steve Kerr might still be sleeping right now, sleeping in. I don't think Steve Kerr is the sleeping kind of guy. But, I have. And by the way, if you need me to do one of those games, just ping me, text me. You know how to reach me. If you want me to cover for you on one of those games, I'm just saying, don't be so selfish.
I'll let you know. Lisa,
I miss you.
How's everything? everything's good on your end? How's everything?
Everything's good. Everything's good. Cooper's taller than you are. Well, it doesn't take much. I mean, you're not that tall.
Yeah, I'm only 5'2".
Yeah. Everything's good. Kids, Cooper hit a grand slam through a complete game shutout. He's got a nice floater, a little lefty floater down the lane. And so we got that going for us. You know,
what's Xander up to?
Xander's great. Xander is into anything with theater, and as you can imagine, is just really bossy. And he's going off on a 2-day trip and has to live in a tent for a couple days. Let's see if he comes back or not. This should be interesting.
How old is he now?
He's almost 15.
14?
He's 14. He'll be 15 in August. And then your girl Taylor is in Sacramento today for a trip. I texted somebody in the government. I was like, look, if you come across a very bossy fourth grader trying to tell you how to run the state of California, that'd be mine. So
Taylor Mattingly.
It's all good. Taylor Mattingly. Speaking of Mattingly, we're going to go because Michael K is calling in at 9:40 or 12:40, wherever you are. Okay. Do the math, people. You know I can't do the math, so we're going to talk Yankees next. So thank you for that lovely caveat. I feel like that was I should have had my glasses on and off. I could have done a Bryant. And speaking of the Yankees, Lisa, we miss you. Come on out and visit. Bring that Sam.
Will do. See you soon.
Have fun, Lisa.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.